Justin, not just healthy like I prayed, but like I said, he's really talented. He is now the #1 most subscribed to musician in Canada on YouTube and number 20th in the world.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn and everyone telling me they loved me and just turn their back on you in a second.
Justin Bieber was once untouchable, the Prince of Pop, crowned with a fortune, soaring past $500 million and worshipped by millions across the globe. But today, what we're seeing is a shocking free fall. His once bright eyes now look hollow. His frame looks frail, and instead of polished music videos, he's posting bizarre clips with warped face filters and a squeaky, high-pitched voice, rambling about God, strange sacrifices, and so-called spiritual awakenings. What makes it even darker is that while Justin spirals, the same industry that built him up is squeezing profit out of his pain. It feels less like a tragedy and more like a carefully scripted downfall, one that's been in motion for over a decade. Think about it. Bieber was only 13 when he was plucked from YouTube and thrown into the global spotlight. And now, in July 2025, after years of silence, he suddenly drops a new album called Swag, his first in 4 long years. And instead of this being a victory, it feels like the last card in a game he never controlled. Because here's the truth. In this business, suffering isn't hidden. It's showcased. Your breakdown becomes the stage, and your pain keeps the lights blazing. And with Justin, it's clear his unraveling didn't just happen by accident. The people who were supposed to protect him, mentors, managers, executives, weren't his saviors. They became his predators, tightening their grip while the cameras kept rolling. Justin's rise didn't begin with a flashy label or a Hollywood stage. It started with a shaky home video. His single mother recorded him singing and uploaded it to YouTube, just so his grandmother, who lived far away, could watch her grandson perform. That innocent act changed everything. Within weeks, Scooter Braun, a sharp-eyed music manager, always on the hunt for the next cash cow, stumbled across the video. And just like that, Justin's normal life was ripped away. Braun swooped in, flying Justin and his mother straight to Atlanta, dangling promises of fame and fortune they could barely imagine. That's where the real machinery kicked in. Justin shook hands with Usher, deals were inked, and suddenly, a 14-year-old kid from Stratford, Ontario, was being molded into America's newest dream. His debut single, Baby, wasn't just a hit, it was an explosion. The song turned him into a global phenomenon overnight, with concert tickets evaporating in minutes and fans screaming his name like he was the second coming of Michael Jackson. He wasn't just a pop star, he was the Prince of Pop, handpicked for a generation hungry for a new idol. And the darkest part? The adults in the room knew exactly what they were doing. Remember James Corden, the late-night host with the smiley nice guy image? On live TV, he turned Justin into a punchline, pushing the boundaries with physical jokes and stunts that were framed as harmless fun.
On the spot like this, gosh.
I have friends, I've never seen them naked like that.
Stop, you're making me blush.
One of the most disturbing moments came when Jenny McCarthy, decades older than Justin, grabbed him on stage during an award show and tried to kiss his neck. He was just a teenager clutching his trophy, stiff with discomfort, unable to move, completely powerless under the blinding stage lights while the crowd laughed. It wasn't some playful stunt. It was exploitation in plain sight, brushed off as entertainment. Then there's Diddy, a name already drowning in scandal. Old clips show him promising a 15-year-old Justin cars, houses, and the world at his fingertips. Even creepier, Diddy once had legal guardianship over Justin for 48 hours. Looking back now, especially with the headlines Diddy is tied to today, the thought of Justin in his custody sends shivers down the spine.
And he knows better than be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
And this was all before Justin even had the chance to be a normal teenager. Paparazzi stalked him like prey. Cameras shoved in his face as mobs screamed his name in public spaces. Every raw, unfiltered emotion of a boy still trying to figure himself out was captured, sold, and replayed endlessly. Every moment of doubt, every sign of insecurity, broadcast for the world's entertainment. But here's the real heartbreak. It wasn't just strangers who betrayed him. It was the people closest to him. The industry veterans who were supposed to be his shield turned out to be his stranglers. Scooter Braun, for years, was portrayed as the protective big brother, the genius manager who saved Justin from the chaos of fame. The media sold a story of loyalty and guidance, but behind the scenes, it wasn't protection at all. It was calculated control. By 2020, Justin was on top of the world. Hundreds of millions in the bank, platinum albums, global fame, and the kind of empire most people can't even dream of. Fans thought he had it all. The perfect fairy tale ending for the small-town kid who made it. From the outside, it looked like the only direction left was up. People imagined he was untouchable, that he was living the dream everyone else wanted. But behind those flashing lights, the reality was brutally different. Even after generating nearly $1 billion for the industry, Justin was quietly facing financial chaos. That wasn't bad luck. It was by design. The system was built to bleed him dry while the executives at the top cashed in. Slowly, that spark in his eyes, the excitement of a boy who once sang on the steps of a theater, faded away. In its place was the blank, hollow stare of someone whose soul had been drained. And the trap was ironclad. Record labels disguised advances as gifts, but they were really just loans with suffocating terms. Artists like Justin only saw 10 to 16% of their own revenue, while the rest went into corporate pockets. Then came cross-collateralization, a sinister trick where if one album underperformed, the debt rolled over into the next project. That meant a single misstep in 2015 could swallow the profits of a major hit in 2020. Justin Bieber might not be legally bankrupt, but make no mistake, he's drowning in a financial nightmare. On paper, his net worth sits around $200 million, but most of that isn't cash. It's locked away in illiquid investments that can't be touched when the bills come due. By 2022, whispers began to spread. Justin was running so low on money that he had to borrow a friend's credit card just to play a simple round of golf. Imagine that. The same kid who once brushed shoulders with billionaires couldn't even cover a game without calling in a favor. Behind the glossy Instagram posts and luxury cars lies a much darker truth. A man who once generated nearly $1 billion in his career, now fighting just to keep his empire from collapsing. In desperation, Justin put everything on the line with the Justice World Tour. 131 dates planned across the globe, designed to be his big financial revival. But then came the shocking twist. In June 2022, Justin uploaded a video that rattled the entire world. Half of his face was paralyzed. He revealed he was suffering from Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, a rare neurological condition that left him unable to blink one eye or even move half of his mouth.
See, this eye is not blinking. I can't smile on this side of my face. This nostril will not move. So there's full paralysis in this side of my face.
Fans were heartbroken, but beneath the sadness, the message was clear. His body was giving out under the crushing weight of the lifestyle he had been forced to live. And yet, instead of granting him rest, insiders say his management pushed harder, pressuring him to keep performing despite his failing health. When Justin finally canceled the tour to save himself, he wasn't rewarded with care or compassion. He was slapped with punishment. He had to repay $26 million to AEG, the promoter, who had already advanced him $40 million. By 2023, cracks began to show. Justin's new business manager, Lou Taylor, uncovered allegations that Braun had been skimming off the top for years, overcharging a staggering $26 million in commissions. But Taylor wasn't exactly squeaky clean herself. She'd already been accused of manipulating Britney Spears during her conservatorship, with ties to Britney's father that left fans outraged. Now, with Justin, her arrival turned what was supposed to be financial management into an all-out power struggle. Braun fired back immediately. He launched his own internal audit, claiming that Justin actually owed him $1 million. Justin's camp snapped back, labeling the claim as nothing more than blatant corruption. The feud got so messy that they dragged in one of the biggest names in accounting, PricewaterhouseCoopers. For 6 long months, he combed through the books, and in April 2025, the verdict landed like a bombshell. Justin did owe Braun not $1 million, but $8.8 million in unpaid commissions. The blow was devastating. Justin's team didn't even fight the decision. They simply couldn't. Imagine it. After more than a decade of selling out tours, platinum albums, endorsement deals, and generating close to $1 billion, Justin Bieber still ended up millions in debt to the man he once called his brother. The betrayal cut deeper than any financial loss. By the time the public learned the truth in 2024, it was no longer just about money. And in his own words, the pain was undeniable. Justin admitted, "People told me my whole life, wow, Justin, you deserve that. And I personally have always felt unworthy, like I was a fraud. Like when people told me I deserved something, it made me feel sneaky. Like, damn, if they only knew my thoughts, how judgmental I am, how selfish I really am." These weren't just confessions. They were raw cries of someone drowning under trauma. This was textbook manipulation. The industry had programmed Justin to believe his success was borrowed, that gratitude wasn't enough, and that any doubt he felt was betrayal. His career, his image, his very identity, they no longer belonged to him. They were owned by the machine. By late 2022, cornered and desperate to claw his way out of financial collapse, Justin made a shocking move. He sold his entire music catalog, all 291 songs, to Hypnosis for $200 million. At just 28 years old, he became the youngest major artist ever to surrender his musical legacy, a lifetime of work traded away just to stay afloat. Then came the biggest break yet. A year later, Justin finally cut ties with Scooter Braun, the man who had been his manager, mentor, and shadow for over a decade. Insiders whispered that his wife, Haley, was the one urging him to make the cut. And Braun wasn't just losing Bieber, he was also losing Ariana Grande and Demi Lovato, echoing years of accusations that had first been blasted into the spotlight by Taylor Swift, who claimed he built his empire off other people's pain by acquiring her music.
I'm a real dad with a real family. Is it really in front of my face? No. We're gonna set boundaries here today with all of you today. You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, and by this point, Braun's empire was starting to look like it was built on ashes. Then came August 2024, when Justin and Haley welcomed their son, Jack Blues. For a moment, fans hoped this would finally ground them, give Justin a sense of stability. But just months later, the cracks split wide open. On Justin's very first Father's Day, he shared a heartfelt post about fatherhood, but never mentioned Haley. She fired back with a cryptic Instagram story that read, "Father's Day sucked," before deleting it. But by then, the internet had already immortalized the drama. And when Justin lashed out at paparazzi in Malibu in June 2025, what should have been seen as raw human pain was turned into comedy. His anguished breakdown was clipped, edited, and passed around online as just another meme. The Prince of Pop's suffering wasn't met with sympathy. It was repackaged as entertainment for strangers to laugh at. By early 2025, Justin's decline couldn't be hidden anymore. His face looked gaunt, his eyes vacant, his once polished Instagram now filled with bizarre, distorted videos, his voice unnaturally high, rambling about a childhood in Alaska and scattered religious visions that made no sense. His restless gestures, repetitive speech, and hollow stare left fans asking the question no one wanted to. Was this a mental collapse or the ugly spiral of substance abuse? His team kept denying everything, but Justin's body told the story they refused to admit. He himself had spoken openly about using alcohol and popping pills just to make it through the day. At Coachella, he appeared dazed, staggering across the stage like he wasn't even tethered to reality. And when moments of clarity did break through, they were even more heartbreaking. At one point, Justin admitted bluntly, "I'm broken and it's all my fault." By July 2025, Justin Bieber hit a milestone that should have been a victory lap. He finally cleared more than $30 million in debt to Scooter Braun and dropped Swag, his first album in 4 years. But this wasn't the sugary teen voice of Baby. This was raw, jagged, soul-tearing pain, the sound of a man bleeding out on record, haunted by psychological scars he could no longer hide. In one therapy-like session, Justin confessed, "I've had to go through a lot of my struggles as a human really publicly. And so people always asking if I'm okay, and that starts to really weigh on me." The album laid it all bare, the fractures in his marriage, the mental breakdowns, the disorientation of a man who once had the world but now felt lost inside it. By pure coincidence, the album's release collided with Haley selling her cosmetics brand, Rhode, for a staggering $1 billion. That windfall became the ransom money for Justin's freedom, funds that finally erased the debt strangling him for years. But even as the chains fell off, the backlash kept coming. Braun's camp publicly branded Justin ungrateful and reckless, painting him as the villain in the very story of his own survival. Searching for peace, Justin turned back to religion, but even his faith was commercialized. He was baptized at 2 a.m. in an NBA star's bathtub by Carl Lentz, the Hillsong pastor whose celebrity-filled church offered more paparazzi flashbulbs than spiritual shelter. It was a quid pro quo arrangement. Justin's name boosted Hillsong's fame, and Hillsong polished his image, but the shine didn't last. Soon after, Hillsong was dragged into scandal, branded cult-like, and Lentz himself was disgraced in a sex scandal. And here's the chilling part. Justin Bieber isn't some rare tragedy. He's just the latest victim of a system that's been running unchecked for decades. An industry polished to perfection, not to create art, but to devour children, exploit talent, and leave behind broken adults paraded as cautionary tales. The list is endless. Michael Jackson was shoved on stage before he could even live a childhood, leaving behind a legendary career shadowed by trauma. Britney Spears was locked in a conservatorship for over a decade, stripped of freedom while her image kept the money rolling. Macaulay Culkin was drained by his own father despite earning millions before he turned 18. And it's not just Hollywood. This model has gone global. In South Korea, kids as young as 10 are pulled from their families and drilled like soldiers to become perfect idols. When stars like Jong-yeon and Sully took their own lives, the world cried. But the industry moved on without skipping a beat. In China, child actors are punished for failing to live up to expectations. In the UK, reality shows like Love Island profit off psychological pain, broadcasting breakdowns like primetime entertainment. Because the truth is brutal, pain is profitable. The deeper the collapse, the bigger the value. Social media only fuels it, turning breakdowns into viral clips, replayed, memed, and shared until suffering itself becomes content. And we, the audience, aren't innocent. Every view, every comment, every laugh at a celebrity's meltdown is fuel for the machine. Justin's cry to protect his own son was twisted into a joke.
I was reeling in a half dozen on a good day. That's just a little thing called Alaska living. I mean, I caught a couple. I was over there, I was fishing on the dock. I was, it must have been 17, 18, 19. I don't mean to get in between the stuff that you got going on with.
A punchline for the internet to devour. If even fatherhood isn't sacred, what is? While the world scrolls, laughs, and moves on, another child somewhere is already being chosen to step into the grinder. The cycle never pauses. Justin doesn't need some flashy comeback. He needs an escape from this hell. But here's the cruelest truth. The machine doesn't let go. It will squeeze him until nothing's left, then drag his fragments back on stage for one last performance. Pain dressed up as spectacle, sold with applause. And if he dares resist, they'll simply find another child, another dreamer, and restart the show like the tragedy never happened. This isn't an industry of art. It's an industry of trauma. It manufactures suffering, disguises it as entertainment, and sells it back to us. The only question left is this: how long will we keep clapping for the destruction of our stars? And who's the next child they'll feed into the blades? If you made it this far, sound off in the comments. Do you think Justin can ever truly break free from the machine? Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you want more deep dives like this.